the name actually Cupix is descriptive of really what the company is about. Combining cubes and 3D from picture. 360 camera, put it on a helmet, on a selfie stick, and you literally just walk the site. And then our software is able to take that data, triangulate the path, and make it truly 3D. Let's take this base technology that we've created and let's make it so it can work on millions and millions of square feet. But what you're seeing now is the AEC industry trying to implement this whole idea of a digital twin. Get going. So my name is Paul Collart, and I'm with Cupix. I included a picture of here when I was a little younger, and everybody tells me I look very young for my age. So in this picture here, I'm a senior in college. And actually, that's when I actually got into AEC, was when I was a senior in college. And I was in mechanical engineering at the time, and I loved architecture. And I found myself thrown into an architectural firm to figure out this newfangled thing called CAD. So, we didn't have reality capture, we didn't have BIM. All these technologies weren't quite there at the time. But I've been in the industry and software and workflow in AEC and facilities for quite a while. So if you look at me now, if you extrapolate that, you'd think I'm maybe, in my late 60s. So one question I have for everybody, who here has heard of Cupix? If you raise a hand. So it's not that many hands, and it doesn't surprise me. Just as a company, we really have focused on the technology stack more than sales and marketing, getting the name out there. That's something that we're doing today. So one of the things, I just wanted to start with, what is Cupix, and more specifically, CupixWorks. And the root of our technology is being able to take consumer-grade 360 cameras and take panoramic images or take panoramic video, and our software is able to figure out and triangulate how they all relate to each other in physical space. And then we can take that data, then align it to real-life objects, be it a plan, be it BIM, and constrain it to data that exists in real life. And so we're able to get, I say dimensionally accurate, but for this crowd, that accurate's really not the right term. It's not accurate like a laser scanner, not accurate like a mobile LiDAR. It's not quite that accurate. You're not going to use it for as-built, mission-critical type information, but we're able to get kind of what I call good enough dimensions from that data. So this is the only marketing video you're going to see here, but we'll get into more details about it and what we're doing as a company and really building out a platform for the built world lifecycle. So Cupix was actually started in, now I didn't start the company. I'm on the coattails of others here, working with really smart people. So Simon, it came out of it was 2015. He sold a few companies, pretty smart guy. And he wanted to remodel his backyard. And he was just so frustrated that he couldn't get people out to even give him a bid. And they're even charging him to come out for a bid. And being the type of person he is he's an expert and pioneer in 3D and 3D scanning technology. He's all, this is crazy. And so he set off, I can do this, I can solve this problem. And so when he started out, his original goal was to really compete with the likes of, let's say, a Matterport, but with just a 360 camera. And so that was the beginnings of Cupix. And one of the things about Cupix is it's not a dating app. Maybe people get asked, Cupix, very strange name. But there's actually a reason for that. The reason of the name came from combining cubes and 3D from picture. So the name actually Cupix is descriptive of really what the company is about. And it was funny because I was a year into the company and I never even asked the question, what does Cupix mean? And then Simon told me, and I was like, God, we gotta tell people about that. That's really cool. So anyway, now hopefully you'll remember what Cupix is all about in the name, and it's not Cupid, it's not a dating app. So I'm going through a history of Cupix through the suggestion of Matt, and just to get everybody kind of where we've been, where we're going. And so the original product they developed in, it was 2016, was to compete with Matterport. 360 camera, be able to make a virtual tour out of that. And I got involved in kind of late 2017, and I was researching many different technologies, and at the time, figuring out what I was gonna do next from a company I recently sold. And I gravitated to this technology, and when I was in AEC, it was always about what's that level of implementation and technology that's useful for everybody. And a lot of what I did in CAD and BIM and those types of things is you gotta make it, in those scenarios, everybody's gotta be able to use it. So if you make it only usable for that top 5% of people in the company, it's not gonna be successful. And so I gravitated to this 360 technology and saw it as very beneficial for AEC and facilities. And so I found myself doing tests and going to Simon and letting me use the software on actual projects in Silicon Valley. And I quickly realized that the platform we had developed, because we started with, okay, let's start with 50,000, let's go to 100,000, let's go millions of square feet, and the platform just couldn't do it, because it was really designed for residential real estate. And so what this was is, at the time I started suggesting what we could do with the software, Simon had made the decision that we needed to get out of residential real estate, race to the bottom, and let's extend this to the enterprise. Let's take this base technology that we've created and let's make it so it can work on millions and millions of square feet. And what that was is we released CupixWorks, which was a real revamp of the entire platform to really be designed for the enterprise, unlimited size. And we'll get into this as more of a platform also, because we can consume data from other systems also. And some other things that have recently come up is CupixWorks, we released 2.0. And at the surface, it doesn't look much different, but what we did on the underlying structure of that was building out APIs, and then also building up a structure of what we call Cupix Insights, which is what we're doing with machine learning and artificial intelligence and things like that, which we'll get into more detail. And it's actually what we call Site Insights is the product that we have. So a little bit about the team. I think we're up over 80 people now with the company. And where our biggest growth has been is in sales, marketing, customer success. We're really trying to get the word out there about what we're about. So we're hiring, by the way, just an FYI. So one of the things that we talk about with Cupix is we call ourselves a 3D digital twin. Then it also brings up the question is, what's a digital twin? And I think everybody has, it's one of those buzzwords you hear out there, artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital twin. And really a digital twin, and I had notes here because I wanted to read it correctly. So I lost it. It's not showing me my speaker note. But I just wanted to make sure we read it. It's most commonly defined as a virtual representation of a physical asset, system, or process designed to detect, prevent, predict, and optimize through real-time and analytics to deliver business value. Now, typically with the digital twin, today it's most used in industrial, manufacturing, and supply chain type industries. But what you're seeing now is the AEC industry trying to implement this whole idea of a digital twin. Now, talking about a digital twin could be a whole thing on itself, so we're just gonna leave it at that in terms of just the basics of a digital twin. But what we're gonna talk about is how Cupix is applying what we're doing to create our platform as what we call a 3D digital twin. And so This is, I'm stealing this from Autodesk, who stole this from Verdantex. But you'll see this on Autodesk's website, these 5 levels of a digital twin. Again, I'm not going to just sit there and read them, but you get an idea of the sophistication of your digital twin. And really the key is getting business value out of that. You know, your typical things that you see in AEC, reduce waste, save time, make money, all those different types of things. It's really the business value of what you're getting in implementing the digital twin. But what you see in construction today, this is where the AEC industry is compared to traditionally, like if someone has a digital twin for a jet engine or an oil facility. So AEC and the implementation of digital twin technology is really in its infancy. So for all of the software vendors here, you know, there's a big opportunity for us to kind of be really involved in implementing this technology, you know, into this AEC technology. And I say AEC, but I'm also, you know, facilities management, maintenance operations, all of that. And so when I talk about the CupixWorks platform, what we're doing is we're consuming data. We're able to consume what we call a digital model. So be it a BIM, be it a plan, and then what we call time series real world data. And that would be kind of the basis of our software is what we call the Cupix capture, or a 3D digital twin, and other types of data. LiDAR data, any sort of structured data, if it's imagery, LiDAR, mobile LiDAR, terrestrial LiDAR, we can consume that into our platform. And what we're doing is we're using this as a way, is the basis of our Cupix Insights, which is now what we're doing with our buzz terms, AI, machine learning, all of that, for construction and facility. And again, I'll get into a little bit more detail of what that's about a little bit later. But one of the keys of our technology has been this fast 3D capture with consumer-grade 360 camera. When I say consumer-grade 360 cameras, my camera of choice is one that costs $100. And typically, people are spending $100 to $1,000 at the most for a 360 camera. But typically, it's kind of a throwaway because it's, what's $1,000 if you're using it, every day, every week? It's really not the cost of the hardware that's the issue. And so the key to this is what we do with our Cupix capture, again, using more buzzwords, the AI-powered Cupix capture. And one of the unique things that we have, we do have competitors in this space. We've been slow to market this. But I think if you come over and we show you details, and I show you details now, I think you'll kind of see how it's different in what we're doing. And so one of the unique things that we have is these flexibilities in how we can capture. So one is 360 camera, put it on a helmet, on a selfie stick, and you literally just walk the site. And it's granted, you need to be somewhat careful how you walk that site. It is a consumer-grade camera, so you don't want to be walking like you're trying to catch the bus or the plane, or else you're just going to get bad data. So, it's walk slow as you walk through a facility, and then our software is able to take that data, triangulate the path, and make it truly 3D. It's not just 2D. So we're able to triangulate X, Y, and the Z. So if someone's walking up a hill and down the hill and everything, we know that. Our software knows that. And another method is cluster shot, is what we call it. And this is somewhat similar to, let's say, Matterport, in that you're taking still images. But with our software, you're trying to take those still images as fast as you can. You want to take them, if you can, we have more advanced people here. You're going to want to take them as fast as you can, as fast as the camera will take that. We don't care how you hold that camera. So you can see in this, holding it there, holding it there, holding it down. Our software has, part of the magic for our software is we know how to autocorrect it. And then with that, again, we know how to triangulate how they all relate to each other physically in space. And I'll show some examples of this. And then another feature that we have is drone capture. Now, our drone capture, we're not looking to compete with, that was a very short video, so I apologize. We're not trying to compete with Drone Deploy, Pix4D. They're really going for super accurate, orthomosaics or highly accurate 3D mesh models. We're all about getting the video off that and making it so that it's an aerial 3D tour that you can walk around. And again, I'm going to show you some examples, but we're talking with us, you're going to go out there with that drone and fly it for 10 minutes and you're done. And you could do it every day if you wanted. So one battery, you're done. That's all you need. And there's a lot of R&D going on internally in this area too. Bring it indoors and things like that also. So again, and we still can get some basic measurements out of that data too. But again, we're not necessarily taking advantage of that the gyro camera on there. We're really using it as a way to really get 360 imagery fast and get that visual to people really fast. And then lastly, I wasn't going to do a demo of this because I wasn't quite sure what we were going to have for network speeds. But this is kind of an example of just bringing in all this data in that you have the three Cupix capture coordinated with your BIM, coordinated with your point cloud. So we have tools to make them all geospatially related to each other in the same system. And then at the same time, and then we can have them coexist by bringing objects and coexisting objects in there. So in this example, grabbing a mechanical duct. And notice one thing, it's hard to tell, but this picture is probably 30 feet in the air. Painter's pole, put it way up there. Again, it doesn't matter how you hold that camera. And so you can get views that are very difficult to get even with LiDAR and other systems. Not as accurate though. I was going to wait for the video to end, but I think you get kind of the idea there. So I apologize, I actually created this last minute. I didn't have anybody in marketing pretty it up, so. But what I wanted to illustrate is kind of the flexibility of what we're doing in terms of how we can capture. Because the way we capture all these different options aren't necessarily for everybody. We show single shot. I didn't even really mention that, but it's really just, I'm here, take a shot, locate yourself. Not much magic associated to that, other than we do have magic in that we do have automatic ways to figure out how you are in space. They're just not calculated with the other data. But it's really kind of purpose-built. And what I did was I kind of did a diagram of time, the quality of the data, so how good the images look, and accuracy, and then match that up with who on a job site maybe would be capturing this. So when you look at this, if I have a superintendent or project manager, last thing I want to be doing is capturing their job site. They're not going to have patience. Typically, we see they're doing single shot or video. And actually, most likely, they're all doing video. Because it's very simple, very, very fast to be able to do that. Now, the downside of that, if you look at that video, the quality isn't so good. You're walking around with a consumer-grade camera. So depending upon how they walk, and you're going to have some blur in that imagery. But then our cluster shot, it's more advanced similar to Matterport. We typically use that for people that are a little bit more advanced. So maybe you have a project engineer that's pretty motivated, or anybody in BIM, VDC, or service providers can provide that type of service. And the cluster shot takes longer. You're not just walking, you're stopping, take a shot. Stopping, take a shot. So it's a little bit more time consuming. And then the drone shot, we just assume it's going to be more advanced people. BIM, VDC, service providers providing those types of drone shots. So, and actually what I was going to do was a demo. So this is, if you look closely, you can see who it is, but I can't actually go into any of these projects. But one of our customers is the nation's largest big box home improvement retailer. And these are all the projects that are currently active on our platform. And these are distribution centers currently under construction. And they use all video. Plus, you get up to size, it's 500,000 square feet to 1.5 million square feet. You're not gonna wanna use cluster shot or those types of methods. So every one of these, and it's just a dashboard we created. You can see, okay, that site in Ashland just was updated 5 hours ago. And so this big box retailer mandates their contractors capture once a week, and they use it to monitor remotely all the progress of these distribution centers. And they were actually instrumental in getting us into drones, just because these projects were just massive. So, and they're ground up tilt-ups. But to give you an idea, and I'm bringing up an example. So this is a live example. Hopefully it's okay to have a live example here and it doesn't crash on me. But one of the things is I talk about these different capture methods. You're not limited to just one capture method. You're not, I'm gonna do just video on a project, or I'm just gonna do cluster shot. It's all mix and match. So in this example, this is an example, it's a warm shell, and they're using Cupix to help with pre-construction planning and pre-design planning. And if I enlarge this, fairly large empty warehouse currently, and you can kind of see as you zoom in, the whole warehouse was captured with video, but in the lobby area, they use cluster shot. They want more detail, better information there. And so in the lobby, if they wanted to get, let's say, a measurement, they could do that. And so I'm gonna take a measurement here, a 3D measurement. I'm gonna use what's called stereo matching. Again, this is images here. There's no point cloud, no mesh in the background. But we can get measurements. If I click a point there, come on, sorry, I hit the wrong button. So I can stereo match that point in space, and I want to know the distance to the floor. And we're going to tell you what the offset of that is. Again, all from imagery. Again, you're not going to use this for prefab construction, prefabrication of items. But what we're seeing now is in some cases where you don't have any information, there's a hybrid approach of being able to take your terrestrial or mobile LiDAR data and maybe do sparse data capture, then capture everything else with Cupix, and we can align our data to that data. So we can align to that terrestrial LiDAR data. And then what you get from this is this super valuable to visible. And so your walls, your doors, your ceilings, your lights, your sprinklers, all of that, you just get from Cupix. So we have some people doing a hybrid type approach with that LiDAR data. Now, but when I walk through here, again, I'm walking, and once I get into, and I could just click anywhere, now I'm in the warehouse, it was captured with video. Same experience though. Where do you want to go? But then in some areas, this might not be the best example, but it's kind of a small area. I think that, oh, that's the other room. So you want more detail in rooms like this. And so what I'm going to do is enable a panobubble mode, similar to your terrestrial LiDAR, and say, I want to go up there and look over. So you can get views like this with Cupix and cluster shot. And I'll show you some other examples of that. So kind of moving on, again, every capture, be it a Cupix capture, a point cloud, geospatially they know how they all relate. And so what you're seeing here is, again, these are all Cupix captures, but you can see how they're all synchronized. And if I zoom in on that reference plan there, kind of a bad reference plan, it looks like it was a scan and then brought in. So it looks like it was originally a bitmap, then scanned in. Notice how everything's color-coded, green, cyan, magenta. and I guess orange. You know, I guess when I say like cyan and magenta, you can tell that I probably used AutoCAD in the past. It's AutoCAD colors. The orange, I don't think that was one of the standard 8 colors in AutoCAD back in the day. But notice how, you know, we don't require you to capture in the exact same spot, but we geospatially know where they should be. So when you start navigating through that space, again, this is where internet. So again, we just know. We know where you are. We're going to load up the closest panoramic on all those date frames. And part of what we did with the platform is, it's very hard to notice, but we made this all modular now. Not that everything's implemented, but everything's plug and play on the back end. We can plug in any map viewer, plug in any BIM viewer, plug in anything there. Granted, they still have to be developed, but we've developed the infrastructure to make sure that they're plug and play. And also with this is we've made this so this acts kind of like a Windows desktop. So I can actually take this window and I could throw it over to another monitor, even though it's in a browser. So if you have 3 monitors up, you could have point cloud BIM Cupix capture in here. So that's part of this major infrastructure change that we did. And again, you can unsynchronize them too. You can start walking around over here, but then at any time tell it, well, I want it synchronized. It knows how to synchronize right away. Again, simple of what we call timeline compare there. And I'm sorry if I'm not close enough. You know, I'm a loud talker. My wife tells me I'm a loud talker, so I apologize. And then kind of going on in some other examples. Kind of a pet project I had with some contractors locally in Silicon Valley. I always like trying to get in environments, well, you know, what can Cupix do that would be very hard for anybody else to do? And so this is an example of a cath lab at Kaiser. And it's an active cath lab. So they're only able to get in here like on weekends or at night. And this area is fine, but really what the problem is what is above there? What's above that hard ceiling? And there's only 4 access points to get in there. There's 1, 2, you can see one of these access points. They have to put up a containment for contaminants and particles, and you can only open 1 access point at a time. So it's very challenging. So even if you had a terrestrial laser scanner, you can maybe get up there once, and that's about it. And so we took this as a challenge as to what can we do. And so I'm only showing you at the ground level. So this is above ceiling. And so, granted, some lights had to be staged, but you're able to walk and visibly see every square inch of this above ceiling with Cupix. Again, these images are not manually placed. So kind of a unique use case. And sometimes what I like to do is kind of illustrate a different mode. Like I'm going to turn on, I'm going to turn on what's called this pano bubble. Again, it's for advanced users. And I'm actually going to put this into a 3D mode in an orthographic, not a perspective. Kind of gives you an idea of what our software does with those images. See how they're all at different heights? That's all automatically calculated with our software. Granted, this was a pretty complicated capture just to be able to get those images, because you can only be at 1 access panel. So it's a matter of taking a super long boom pole, again, bring it back, again, and so on to get it in there. And, in the software, I think with this data set, there was 1 panoramic image our software didn't know what to do with. And it's with that, you just hide it. Doesn't matter. What's 1 out of that many? Doesn't matter. And with that, you can still get basic measurements too. So it's scaled to real life information. So we have a whole constraints engine built into the system. And I think in this example, it was probably scaled to the reference plan. But we can scale to a dimension, to a reference plan. We can scale to a point cloud, a BIM object. We can scale our data to that. Because when you take this imagery, images don't have scale associated to them. And so what we do is we scale it to a real life dimension to be able to do that. So the next thing I want to talk about, and again, I think I'm okay on time. I'm not sure. I'm still on West Coast time here. But what I wanted to talk about next was talking about what we're doing, kind of new things that we're doing now. And, I've talked about talking about digital twins, and recently made some major infrastructure changes to take advantage of data that's coming into the system. And really when it comes with digital twins, digital twins and like manufacturing a jet airplane, you have sensors on them, constantly giving data as to what's going on. And you're able to predict and do, analytics on this data. But on an active construction site, you don't really have real-time data like that. So what we think is the key to be able to try to simulate real-time data is getting as many captures as you can. So the key to that we see is being able to do really fast captures. And so what we're doing with our what we call Site Insights engine is that we're able to take time series capture data. And again, this is really dependent upon whoever's capturing this data, how often you're capturing. And notice we're putting LiDAR capture in there too, because we can bring in that LiDAR capture also. And what we're able to do is then automatically determine status of that data based on the digital model. And the digital model can be based on BIM, or it can be based on objects or 2D plans. Takes a little bit more time to set up. And so what we're doing is creating, and actually these objects, and I'm talking more in construction, and with, we're also applying this to facilities management in that object can be something fixed. So, and with that, really the goal of Site Insights is providing business intelligence associated to that. So we're trying to enable digital twin concepts during the construction process. So a lot of your status can be based on percentage installed. It could be a yes, no, or for Silicon Valley fans, hot dog, no hot dog. No one? Based on percentage of a progress, and even based on assets, on an asset status report. So this is part of the engine that we just released. It's actually in private beta as we currently right now, but we are actively looking for more customers to be involved in that private beta associated to it. So, and I think we have probably about 10 or 12 projects currently active doing this. So, and one of the things we're doing with our digital twin structure and Site Insights is really trying to make it generic to really be applied to any kind of situation, potentially. So, not just construction, facilities, maintenance, operations, and other types of implementations. And looking at Site Insights, it's kind of the whole flow of Site Insights, and the project is set up with a template specifying the model, and really what is the responsibility of kind of service providers or contractors is to be able to just simply do that capture. And then what we're doing on our end is we're doing all the processing, and we will QA it at the same time. And then it's viewable within what we call Site View, which is, I didn't even say Site View originally, but it's Site View is that cool interface that I was showing you. And so, one of the keys is we do provide QA. If people tell you they're not doing QA, they're full of it. So. And so kind of going into detail in terms of, leveraging BIM objects as your digital model, we have ways to be able to import objects, but you can pick which objects in that BIM model you want to bring in. So if you decide, I just want my structural, we can bring that in and set them up within our platform. We can also do it as, a 2D plan. So we actually have a whole sketching utility in our application to be able to sketch this up. But we can also bring information, let's say a DXF, into the platform and utilize that. And it's all fully, and again, it really depends what you're interested in tracking. It could be set up to track it. And then we are also doing things with BIM to point cloud deviation. Our founder and the main engineering team we have are experts in that area, and they're doing this in mechanical engineering type environments. So it's kind of natural for us to be able to do that comparison with point cloud and those same objects. But when we're doing it with point cloud, we're requiring kind of those BIM objects, not from just a 2D plan. So a lot of different implementations would be able to implement those site insights. And then an interface to actually, that's something if you come to our booth up there, or not really a booth, our table, we can show you more of what's going on with that. So that's really all I had. Get in touch with us. You can scan that. We also have a QR code at our booth for more information. And about all I have.